Oh, it's me again with another Sun transit. On the 30th of December, the Sun is moving into Gate 38. This is at 1704 GMT. Gate 38 is called opposition. It's the gate of the fighter. You can see from the mandala here that it is in the root center. We know we've got all the root center gates going through right now, one way or another. It's an individual gate. Its opposition is the other root gate, gate 39, which is exactly opposite it. You can see it there in the root center. It's those two sort of black half channels coming out there. This is the gate of provocation and obstruction. And its harmonic gate to the 38 is gate 28. Gate 28 is in the splenic center. It is called preponderance of the great, and together they create the channel of struggle, which is also called a design of stubbornness. So I think this gives us a bit of a flavor of what we're up against for these next few days as we transit through gate 38. So the headline says the ability to preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. It's to be able to persevere in the face of detrimental forces, but it's also telling us that this energy is only there to fight detrimental forces. It's not on show all the time. Do you notice any similarity between the language here and what we've just come from in Gate 58? When we looked at the 58.6, we saw the need for the individual to maintain its integrity, regardless of the stimulation, and to be able to really see where to put their energy. And here you have that individual integrity through opposition to influence. So we move from the gate of the joyous to the gate of the fighter in the channel of struggle. Life is a struggle. This is a material plane. Ra said it's the planet of struggle and suffering, although there's no suffering in the chart. And that's something I like to point out when we're looking at this channel of struggle, is that struggle is one thing, but suffering is usually the mind's commentary on whatever it is that's happening, whatever that struggle is. There isn't actually a gate of suffering. So it's something just to bear in mind. But life is something, we have a struggle as we go through life. It's inherent in life, and it's on all levels. It's not just the human experience. The 28th gate, the harmonic at the other end of the channel, it's the only gate that carries within it the fear of death. The 38th gate fights in its life. It struggles through life because, well, life is a struggle, and to struggle in life can be a terrible thing if the struggle is not of value. And of course, that is the secret of this whole channel. It is one of the secrets of life. It's about coming to grips with one's purpose and one's value in this life. Individual integrity is about the value of the individual life, not the value of the collective or the communal tribal life. This is the value of the individual life. All seekers have the same question. It is, what is my purpose in life? At the core of what it is to be individual is this need to recognize value in your own life. You cannot really meet your purpose until you meet yourself. It's not possible. And you cannot find value in your nature until you are interacting in life, with life, as yourself. Because what else can you trust? What you think about yourself, what others think about you, that's the not self in the conditioned emotional environment, this soup that we all live in. It doesn't mean that that is truly you. So the power inherent in this gate is the pressure within us to find purpose in life. The 38th gate carries with it a fundamental tension. It is part of the right angle cross of tension, and part of its purpose is to create a specific dynamic tension that transforms life. The 38th gate brings this incredible tension to the harmonic 28th gate to find a purpose. So the 28th gate, it's splenic, as we know, and it's a gate of deep fear, that fear of death, the fear of a life without value, a life without purpose. And so what the 38th gate is fighting for is the opportunity to find its purpose. And what are the detrimental forces mentioned in the headline? Well, these are any forces that get in the way of finding that purpose, whatever they happen to be. And it can be hard to not know what the purpose is, but to have this driving force nonetheless moving you towards it, this pressure inside you, searching for something. Looked at through the context of human design, our purpose is revealed to us through our incarnation cross and through the role that we play or the costume that we wear, which is our profile. And there is a deep relationship between this channel and profile. Profile gives us a guideline to the costume of fulfilling our purpose. Our profile is the embodiment of our correctness when we're following our purpose. We live out our profiles through our strategy and authority. And in living out our profile, ultimately, our purpose is revealed. In the 38th gate, there is the basic drive that is there for all of humanity. It's there for everyone. We are all being driven by this deep force. We all want to find our purpose in life. We all have our why. The first line, the foundation of this hexagram, is all about knowing when to fight and knowing what to fight for. And the 38th gate is individual. You know, it suffers from that chemistry of individuality, which can be melancholic. It can be very frustrating, this energy of seeking purpose and not being able to find that purpose. And it's one of those things to keep away from the mind. You know, this is very much the opposite end of the body graph to the mind. We're in the root here. We're in the feelings. We're in that nitty gritty of it all. So sometimes our purpose might be, our mind might be saying that this should be our purpose and we should fight for that and we must do. And that's just so much, verbiage. It's just that mental diarrhea. And if we tune into that and we're not using strategy and authority to guide us into what our purpose truly is, then we might miss those little signs along the way that are there to guide us and to help us find what our purpose is. So more good reasons to follow strategy and authority and to just let the mind do what it does on its own and not give it any inner authority. So the channel of the 3828 is a design of stubbornness. And along with that comes a level of individual deafness. And it's not a hard of hearing kind of deafness. It's not a problem with the mechanism for hearing. It's more of a filtering of what will be heard. Individuality is not designed to be collective. It is not designed to share or develop through sharing, through cooperation with others. Individuality is a unique mutation. And in order for that to emerge, there have to be certain barriers against being influenced. One of the most difficult things for a 38 is that so often their struggle is misunderstood. They're pushing and pushing, but they don't know where their purpose is. There's just this ongoing fight to find purpose. And so from the outside, that can be judged. Ultimately, it is just about being attuned, It's as if it was that easy. It's about being attuned. Everything about the nature of being is about operating correctly. Gate 38 provides us with the essential energy necessary for survival and to combat our fear of death. The root is a pressure center. It's not an awareness center. This is something that is sometimes misinterpreted. The fuel gives energy to fight and to struggle, but it is just that. It's a fuel and an energy. There's no awareness around what that fight is or what it could be or what it should be. The stream of intuition begins with this gate. the channels which connect the root to the spleen, by their nature, they can be very difficult. Whilst at the same time, they can be the healthiest channels that we have. After exploring the splenic gates in October, when the sun transited them all one after the other, we know that it is a center in which all the gates have an underlying fear. And these fears are not there to be fixed. They're not there to be got rid of or even transcended in a sense of doing anything to transcend it. As we decondition and as we really accept and work with the truth of who we are, then some of these things don't have the same hold on us that they do when we are still going through our conditioning. But there is sometimes a feeling of like, well, how do I get rid of this fear? But these fears are here to keep us safe. And sometimes when you read fear of death, then that sets up a certain thing in our head. But look into it a bit further, because it's not just death. As we know, we've explored this a couple of times now. It's not just death, it's dying before we've found what makes life worth living, what makes it truly wonderful. So it's the same with all of the other ones as well. It's like you're challenging authority, but it's not just for the sake of challenging authority when you're in gate 18. It's actually for a purpose. It's to make sure that the patterns are correct and that we're following the right authority. So there are reasons for having these fears, and mostly because it's splenic, it's about survival and it's about safety and health. So these fears are actually, in that context, a wonderful thing, and they are a tool for us. So when we're working with the 2838, then we are looking at that struggle of knowing what in life is valuable, what makes it valuable for us. And it's going through the intuitive process of that, through this stream of intuition. And it's also a knowing circuit. Individuality is the knowing circuit. So all of this is saying that the struggle, ultimately, to know one's purpose is about individual, unique intuition. Through the 38th gate, we have this pressure to challenge. We meet it in the 28th gate by the willingness to play. It's the game player. But sometimes that game playing can be serious. It can get a bit life-threatening because that pressure to push yourself is so intense. And there's the stubbornness that is found in this channel. It's a stubbornness to overcome the odds. And if you have this channel definition, then to be stubborn, to struggle, it's ultimately healthy for you. Now, if it is your design, then struggle is the way that you will find out why you are here. Always, 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 it comes back to following your strategy and authority, because otherwise it gets very random and it can be unhealthy. It can be all of the or nots. It could be anti-survival. That's not really a word, but you know what I mean. It could be you're doing something and your spleen is saying no, and you're doing it anyway. Well, who knows where that would end up? It's struggling for within correctness is what leads to the gift that can be found through any of these gates or channels or through the whole design. All of it is about correctness. This is how we get the fruit of the tree of knowledge. It's like, I don't know what Bear put in my tea this morning, but it's obviously a bit extra motor mouth today. So the 38 and its opposition, the 39th gate of provocation, are two gates that are very similar in the nature of their pressure. They're both root gates, of course, whilst at the same time they're different because they're being pointed towards different awareness centers, different outlets for that pressure. The 38th gate pointing towards the splenic system, and that channel, the 2838, which has to do with the development of the intuitive process, and the 39th gate, which is pointed towards the solar plexus, and it's in the channel with the 55, the 3955 being in the stream of emoting. It is the channel of moodiness, and it is about emotional awareness. Did I get that the right way around? Let me just check. One moment, caller. No, I got that the wrong way around. It is the channel of emoting, which is a design of moodiness, but the stream is it's actually this. It is the stream of emoting. Okay, it's good to check. Um, the energy mechanic with individuality, it's the impulse, and it comes out of that format channel, the 360 between the root and the sacral. And usually, when I name the channels, I will do it furthest away from the root first. So, really, that's why it's always the 3828 or the 3955, because that's the direction of the energy to the throat. But when you have the channel 63, and it's a bit awkward. It's, yeah, so this is why it's, on some of them, you might hear a different way of it being phrased. So it's that channel that is the gate 60 in the root and the 3 in the sacral. That's the channel of mutation. That's the format channel for individuality. And one of the energies that it has is the quality that it gives to gate 38. It's the energy to ignore. And there is nothing quite like someone with gate 38 ignoring you. It's like an art form. They ignore you totally. They just don't hear you. You can talk to them and talk to them, and then 10 minutes later they look at you and say, "Oh, were you talking to me?" Because they're just in their own individual process, and they didn't hear a word. The grounding for this sun's transit through gate 38, we know, is coming from gate 39. The earth is in gate 39. It's called obstruction, the gate of provocation. This is the value of obstruction in provoking analysis, assessment, and re-evaluation. There are so many similarities between these two gates, so they do support each other in many ways. They're the same circuit. They're led by the same format channel, that channel of mutation. They have the themes of empowerment and melancholy, deafness and stubbornness, and yeah, all of that. I was going to say empowerment, but I think I said that. Still, double empowerment. Why not? They are both root center gates. They both have a fuel for combat. On one side, it's the fight and opposition, and on the other, it's provocation and obstruction. So over the next few days, we will see how these two energies play together and what they bring to each other as we follow this sun's transit. And now, a message from my sponsor. And my sponsor is me, by the way, unless Bear comes in, but I think it's just going to be me. Um, this is the time of year. It's a really important time of year. Many people are thinking about making New Year resolutions, and we're only a couple of days away now from New Year's Day in the traditional calendar. And I would like to invite you to consider a different approach this year. There is so much pressure around in these weeks. The root center, it's our constant companion pretty much for the next 5 weeks. And just look at the names of the gates here. Look at the energies that they bring. We could look at this instead of being a time to make New Year's resolutions as a time of reflection instead. Finding a different way to release the pressure, not going outside of ourselves, perhaps, but allowing the pressure to reveal something that has been percolating or processing inside. I'm offering an alternative view to the traditional New Year through a short series of short videos. I think there'll be 3 or 4, but not many, and culminating with a talk at the RaveFestival, which is an online festival on the 21st of January. I'm doing my talk, which is actually the date of the Human Design New Year this year. It's not always, sometimes it's the 22nd because of the sun. It follows the sun as it transits into gate 41. There are details for this in my bio. You could sign up to my newsletter if you want to at bambaji.com, and you will get more information on that offering. Yeah, so that's it. We're off to another gate 38, and thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, it's exciting. Anyway, the whole journey is pretty exciting. I'm getting very geeky, and I shall love you all and leave you and see you in a little while for the first line. So until then, just yay, try not to get too involved in any struggles unless it's correct for you. And yeah, go gently. I'll see you soon.